It's always money or recognition. One of our most natural instincts is the desire to be great. And us using the way that we express and the things that we put out there for other people is because we want to return on that. And it's always going to come down to, I want some type of recognition, or I want that recognition in the form of receiving something else. So even if it is just you want people to see you, or you want people to go, oh my goodness, look at these things that you're doing, or look at something that you created, that's amazing, that's great. It is still you putting something out there because you want to receive something back. And that's either money, that's people, that's followers, that's subscribers, whatever it is, it's because you want something. And when I first got into this creative space and started to create it as my business, it was, I've learned all this stuff now, so now everybody needs to hear it because I'm amazing, I've learned all these things, now you need to know these things and I'm going to teach you how to do it. But at the same time, I was like, I'm going to make money from this because now that I've decided that I'm an individual and I want to have my own business, well, the only thing that I can offer you is things that I've learned and the things that I've experienced. And in order for me to do that, that's going to show who I am. And then people are going to want to pay me for that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but eventually you will realize, you will see the flaws in that idea, in that whole way that you were creating, is because you hadn't found your identity yet, because you hadn't been able to grasp the fact that you had learned something, which was a skill, which you were now good at, and you were offering it to people in order to receive some sort of reciprocation for that in the way of money. Instead of attributing that skill, you thought that was who you are, and you were expressing yourself authentically because you were sharing a skill that you actually learned. And it took me a long time to get to that. And I know I had a few coaches and a few mentors, and they go, what are you talking about? I'm great. I've just learned all these things. I've just been through all this stuff, and I know that I'm amazing and I can do wonderful things, and everyone needs to hear me. And whilst it was also about the money, it's also, I want people to recognize what I had been through, what I had learned, and where I was. I wanted people to pat me on the back and say, good job, you did great. Because I know that most of us lack that recognition of the good jobs that we're doing when we complete something, when we go through something, and where we're still here and we're still being ourselves in some way, even though we've just been through something horrible, or maybe we made a decision that wasn't great, we had to live with the consequences, but we got through it and we decided to change ourselves and do something different. Or maybe we did learn a whole new skill, maybe did change our whole trajectory, maybe we changed the way we look, maybe we increased some of our habits. Whatever it is, we did all these amazing things, and we are still that little child who's looking up at our parents saying, please love me, and say, yes, you did a great job. But unfortunately, we don't get that. We don't get the constant recognition from the world outside of us telling us, yes, you've done a great job. That doesn't mean that you don't receive. It doesn't mean that it's not something that you can do. Of course it is. But in our reality, that is something that doesn't happen, because our lives and the things that we are experiencing, the way that we're existing in this 3D reality, is very individual. Even though we're surrounded by people and we're working in this environment with this world full of all these different people, ideas, experiences, and rules and regulations and whatever else is in our belief system around us, we're still just individuals traveling on our own journey. So that recognition is something that we either need to learn how to give to ourselves, or we move past the need for that by looking at where we weren't recognized before, in healing that and moving past that and absorbing that, so that we don't feel like our only purpose is to have that recognition, is to have that constant feedback of someone or something saying, yes, you've done a great job, to then be able to move into a place where we just express and we create as we are, and that's it. And it's not because of just an outcome that we want to come back to us through money or recognition. It is because that is who we are and we're expressing ourselves in that way. And we can express ourselves doing the same thing, but instead of saying this is my identity, this is who I am, it's this is a skill. This is a skill that I've learned, and I want to show you what I've learned or what I've done and how I can help you. And it may form part of that entire personality of who we are, but it's not who we are. It's just a skill. It's something we've learned. So today is day 16 in Athanor 21, which is like a free course. And I'm going to say this in every video. It's not a course. It's more like different words or different ideas that I really need to fix a word for that. Different ideas that you need to look at in the way that you create. I call it a mythic intelligence creation because I like to use fancy words and fancy ideas behind the things that I create. That's how I create. That's what I enjoy doing. So this week we're in the final week. It's the creation week, so it's all about how we create. So today is all about really finding that underlying reason to why you are creating what you're creating. Why do you want to have this thing in the world? Why do you want to have this business? Why do you want to put this offer out there? And be honest. It's not just, oh, I'm going to save the world. It's not that. There's more. It's underneath that. You need to go find it.